Let me ask you guys something. How many games do you know that can disappear for nearly a decade, 10 years, show almost nothing, tell fans virtually nothing, and somehow still be one of the most anticipated games on the entire planet? Because that's exactly where we're sitting with The Elder Scrolls 6. It's honestly, the more I look at it, the more crazy it is. Skyrim launched in 2011. That was 15 years ago. Think about everything that's happened since then. Entire console generations have come and gone. Microsoft spent billions buying Bethesda. Fallout 76 happened. Starfield. Gaming itself has changed completely, and yet here we are, 15 years after Skyrim, waiting to see what Bethesda has been cooking up with the next Elder Scrolls. And what's funny to me is every time somebody brings up Elder Scrolls 6, we do it on this channel quite frequently. There's always that one person who says, I'll believe it when I see it. I get it. I do. I understand. Bethesda announced the game all the way back in 2018 with a teaser that was basically a mountain range with a logo. That was it. No gameplay, no characters, no story, no release window, nothing. Just a golden carrot dangled in front of us for years. I mean, just enough to let everybody know the game existed before they disappeared into the Starfield bunker for years. And at that time, we were excited. We were stoked. And looking back, that teaser feels like something honestly from another lifetime. But here's where things get interesting. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. I read every single comment on every single video. Today is update day. Despite all the silence, despite all the memes about us playing Elder Scrolls 6 in retirement homes, we actually know more about this game now than people realize. Bethesda hasn't been showing it, but they've been talking about it for years. And when you start putting all those pieces together, which is what we try to do on this channel, well, a picture starts to emerge. Not a complete picture, but enough to get a pretty good idea of where this is heading. So chime in. I will read those comments, and I'm going to get you guys updated on everything current with Elder Scrolls 6. Now, the biggest thing that's changed over the last year is that Elder Scrolls 6 is no longer some distant concept sitting on a whiteboard. For a long time, that's where it was. That's where it lived. That's where it resided. Bethesda openly admitted that Starfield, it was the priority. Elder Scrolls 6 was something they knew they would make eventually, but not something they were actively focused on. That changed after Starfield shipped. Suddenly, developers started moving over. Teams are expanding. Interviews started sounding different. Instead of talking about plans, they started talking about progress. Xbox execs have even confirmed they've seen this game running. This game is real. It exists. People are playing it. Todd Howard has repeatedly talked about development milestones. There are multiple reports that are suggesting the majority of Bethesda game studios is now all in on Elder Scrolls 6. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but for a Bethesda fan, that's the difference between hearing a restaurant is planning to open someday and actually seeing the lights turned on the inside. It's real. Now, before everybody gets excited and we start predicting a release date next year, which we're going to do at the end of this video like we always do, let me pump the brakes for a second. I mean, if there's one thing Bethesda has never been known for, it's rushing. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing depends on who you ask. Of course, Bethesda makes massive games, huge worlds, systems stacked on systems, stacked on systems. Their games are complicated. They're messy. Sometimes they're buggy as hell. But they're also some of the most ambitious RPGs ever made. Now, Elder Scrolls 6 isn't competing with most games. It's competing with Skyrim, and that's probably the problem that nobody would want, right? Think about the expectations for a second. Skyrim wasn't just a successful video game. It became a cultural phenomenon. There are people who don't play RPGs that know what Skyrim is. There are people who have bought Skyrim on 3 different platforms, 6 different ways. The game became so big that it essentially turned into a joke. Every new console announcement had people wondering when Skyrim would be re-released again on that console. That's the shadow that's hanging over ES6. Bethesda can't just make a good RPG here. They have to make a sequel to one of the most beloved RPGs ever created. That's a different challenge. And when you tease it in 2018 and then you wait, 8 years? All you're doing is creating more and more expectation that you have to try to live up to. And then the big question, where is this game actually going to take place? We have had some heated debates in the comments on past videos. If you've spent any time following this channel or Elder Scrolls rumors, you know and you've heard the one location that comes up more than else. Hammerfell, right? So at this point, Hammerfell has become the overwhelming favorite among fans, insiders, everybody who's paying attention. Started years ago when people began dissecting the original teaser frame by frame like it was, I don't know what it was. It was like it was something else. Anyway, Bethesda accidentally poured gasoline on that fire. They put out various clues, social media posts, references that seemed to point directly towards Hammerfell. And the more evidence piled up, the harder it was to ignore. And honestly, Hammerfell makes a ton of sense to me. It's one of the few major regions in Tamriel that Bethesda hasn't fully explored in a modern game. You've got deserts, coastline, cities, mountains, political conflict, naval opportunities, and a completely different visual identity from Skyrim. I think that's really important here because Bethesda doesn't want Elder Scrolls 6 to look like Skyrim 2. They need something that's fresh immediately. And if the first gameplay trailer drops with sprawling deserts and big coastal cities and ships moving across the open water, I think players are going to know they're somewhere new. And of course, speaking of ships, the great ship debate. It's one of the biggest rumors that still plagues this game. Naval gameplay. The idea refuses to die. Every few months, it comes back stronger than ever. And honestly, I think there's a reason for that. I do. Starfield gave Bethesda experience building larger traversal systems. The rumored Hammerfell, that setting naturally lends to a coastal exploration, right? Bethesda has been expanding player freedom for years. The idea of sailing between ports and kind of looking at islands and maybe hunting treasures, hidden ruins, all that, it kind of fits into an evolving formula. Now, you might say we're going to get Assassin's Creed Black Flag? No, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if ships play a much larger role than people actually think here. Bethesda loves giving players another layer of exploration. Horses, well, they changed how we move through Oblivion and Skyrim. Spaceships, they changed how we move through Starfield. It would make sense for Elder Scrolls 6 to introduce its own version of that next step. Now, another thing people aren't talking about enough, I don't think, is the technology behind this game. For years, the internet treated Bethesda's engine like an ancient relic held together by duct tape and a prayer. That's the truth. Every discussion turned into the same argument. Bethesda should abandon Creation Engine. Bethesda should switch to Unreal. Bethesda should start over completely. The problem with that argument is the Bethesda games, they're not built like most other games. A huge amount of what makes ES feel like Elder Scrolls comes directly from the systems running underneath that hood. There's persistence there, right? You've got the object tracking, the AI schedules, thousands of interactive items, all the simulation elements. You can't just replicate that. So instead of abandoning the engine, I think Bethesda has been evolving the engine. Starfield introduced major upgrades. Now reports suggesting that ES6 is using an even newer version, often referred to as the Creation Engine 3. So that could end up being one of the biggest stories surrounding this game because Bethesda desperately needs a technical win here, people. Players aren't just expecting a bigger world. They're expecting a smoother experience, better animations, facial technology, combat, performance, quality of life. Now, speaking of combat, that's going to be fascinating to me. Let's be honest with each other. Nobody has ever pointed to Skyrim as the gold standard for melee combat. We haven't. We all love the game despite the combat, not necessarily because of it, and that's one area where ES6 has an opportunity to make a massive leap forward. Close your eyes. Imagine a deeper swordplay loop, more reactive enemies, better magic systems, better archery, more meaningful character builds. If Bethesda can nail the combat and keep the freedom people love, this could be a hit. And then, of course, there's the story, which actually might be the most important piece of this entire puzzle. Skyrim gave us dragons. Oblivion gave us the Oblivion Crisis. Morrowind gave us one of the most unique RPG narratives ever made. ES6 has to have its own identity, not dragons. It needs that thing people immediately associate with. Maybe the moment, the conflict, the threat, mystery. Whatever Bethesda has planned, it has to feel worthy of this long freaking decade-long wait. Because let's be honest, well, not even 15 years if you want to be real about it. And what's interesting is that Bethesda, I guess they understand the pressure. Every interview Todd gives about ES6 feels pretty careful. I don't think he really overpromises anymore. He's not hyping up features at the moment. He's definitely not teasing release dates. He just sounds like somebody who knows exactly how much is riding on this project. There's some pressure. He's on the hot seat. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. We've seen plenty of studios promise the moon over the last decade, and then they fail. And they struggle when release date arrives. Bethesda appears to be taking the opposite approach, saying almost nothing and building quietly. So, yeah, I think the honest truth about the first reveal, this will be one of the biggest gaming moments we've seen in a while. It's not because it's guaranteed to be the greatest game ever made, because we're not there yet, but what it represents for an entire generation of gamers. I know you're here. ES6 has become the mythical game, the game that always is coming someday, right alongside GTA 6. Same vibe, except for GTA 6 is actually almost here, and ES6, it's still mythical. It's a fantasy. It's always just over the horizon. The game people joke about never releasing. And when it actually comes, I don't know if we're going to know how to handle it. But the good news is, for the first time in a long time, it looks like we're getting closer. Not tomorrow, not next month, not next year, but closer. The development team is there. They're working on it. A massive army of developers. The technology is there, resources. Microsoft is behind it. That's Microsoft money. That's a big deal. So the question isn't whether it can do the impossible. I think it's just, can it live up to all the anticipation? And to guess, I like to put my guessing hat on. I think we are going to get a reveal or a teaser toward the end of 2027. And then I think we could possibly get this game in 2028. That's my guess for this video. We'll see if it holds true. I'll see you guys soon.